creative living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Thanks so much for joining me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn how to make Zen doodles and discuss a new food trend called food truck cookery. One of my guests today is Deborah Pace, and she's an artist and designer. She's going to explain what a Zentangle is, tell how it got started, and show us what supplies are needed. She'll also talk about all the different surfaces you can use to create this art form. Her Zen doodles are featured in several books about this type of art. Deborah's business is Aardvark Creations in Rancho Cucamonga, California. And we'll begin the show with John Valertson, who is more commonly known as Chef Johnny V. John is a cookbook author, a chef, and teacher, and he's going to talk about the latest craze in fast food. It's called food truck cookery. He'll even demonstrate some of the food items that are the most popular to make and sell. He owns and operates Las Cosas Cooking School in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and is working on his second cookbook. John, it's always such a pleasure to have you come and share some of your recipes that you do in your cooking school. But I have to tell you, I've kind of known a little bit about some of them, but I've never heard of the food truck industry.
You know, it's become a big deal. In Santa Fe, we actually have an area where food trucks gather. And you can go there, and there's a variety of different cuisines and stuff. And it's really become popular. We even have a university now in Albuquerque and Santa Fe where hospitality students learn how to cook out of a food truck. It's really cool. And someone was just mentioning there's a fun movie that just came out last year called Chef, about a chef that gets tired of high-end restaurant cooking and opens a food truck with his son. It's a really cute movie.
This is like what I think of is at county fairs or at places like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think last year at the county fair in Texas, they had deep fried butter as one of the dishes. So we're not going to make that
Let's
today.
not do that.
We're not going to make that. But, you know, it's sort of a variety of different ethnic cuisines. We're going to make today a Korean taco, which is a Korean spiced pork that we're going to serve in a corn tortilla. So sort of a New Mexico twist.
Okay.
We're also going to make something called a po' boy, which is more from New Orleans. You might have heard of a shrimp po' boy. And we're going to serve that on a bun with a jalapeno mayonnaise. And then we're going to do something from Canada called a poutine.
Oh,
and it's
I've not
a
heard of
crazy
that.
dish that food trucks are doing. And believe it or not, it's French fries, cheese curd, tossed together and covered with brown gravy.
I'll have to
work on that
hold
one.
on my,
That's a little stretch, and that's
yes.
actually from like the Montreal area. Anyway,
So we're
first of
gonna
all,
start
Cheryl,
with
let's
the
start
batter.
cooking.
Okay.
This is our beer batter, so you can use any type of beer. The only thing is, don't use a dark beer because it'll make your batter too dark.
Too dark.
So we have flour, a little bit of salt, some cumin, cayenne pepper, and cornstarch. So if you want to whisk your dry ingredients together first, and then we'll add our measured cup of beer. And I like a beer batter that is not so thick that it completely covers what you're trying to fry. We want to taste what's inside the batter there.
Sometimes we're guilty of that,
Yeah.
aren't we?
And then you
We
can whisk
almost
that in. And then,
disguise
Cheryl,
the-
at the same time, I'm going to make a quick cucumber pickle that's going to go on our tacos. So this is an English cucumber. This is called a mandolin, and boy, are these sharp. So this is a safety glove that we sell in my cooking school. You don't have to worry about losing a digit with this. So I'm going
that's
to
good.
do some really thin cucumber slices, and very simple. We're going to add a little bit of sugar, salt, and rice wine vinegar to this, and some jalapenos. And we're going to put this then on our tacos.
You know,
And really, just a couple of minutes will be all that's going to need.
I think it's fun to have someone like you around because I don't know about everybody, but I get in a rut and tend to make the same things
Yeah, and I
all
think
the
it's,
time.
and that might need a little more beer, Cheryl, but yeah, go ahead and add all that. I think it's fun. That's what I love about teaching cooking. I have a cooking school in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we have so much fun just teaching people some new ideas. And, you know, people of all ages get tired of cooking. Young people don't know what to cook. Older people have been cooking for years, and they're sort of bored with it all. So
And I know you mentioned one time you were in a grocery store and you saw a young couple pushing a cart, and every single item in there was a prepared food.
Yeah, yeah. And it
no
was like
ingredients.
nothing was fresh. And it's like, oh, come on, we really,
We need something
we
alive.
need something. Yeah, and this was a young couple, and I was worried that they were taking
Children.
home all this prepared food. Okay, now we're going to make a Korean barbecue sauce. So this is roast pork that I roasted and thinly sliced. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix together sugar, soy sauce, rice vinegar. These are some very classic Asian ingredients. A little sesame oil. And if you'll start to stir that, Cheryl, then we're going to use, this is called a fermented Korean chili paste.
Oh, that must be what gives it the...
And I want you to have a little whiff of that. So it's almost like a Korean barbecue sauce.
It does. It smells like
It's
barbecue.
got like, yeah, there's tomato in there too. And then I'm just going to put a nice big spoonful of that.
Mostly it's for the flavor, isn't
It is, and it's going to flavor up that pork beautifully. So we'll let that sit for a minute. You're being such a good helper. I love that you're my,
I might get a
my
job
sous
with
chef.
you.
I know,
Okay.
really. So to assemble our poutine. So the word poutine, we think, is sort of a slang word from French Canada that means messy. Something sort of messy. So this is a messy scramble, if you will, of our French fries, cheese curd, and this is actually a sharp cheddar cheese curd.
Just cubed.
And yeah, cubed. And you'll find this actually in the import cheese section. Then I made a simple beef brown gravy. So I fried my fries, and all I'm going to do now is put those in a bowl.
Do they serve these like on paper plates
in a little,
or
in a
whatever?
little paper cup almost.
Uh-huh.
And this is typically served, these food trucks would be outside of a bar. So when you're coming out and you need a little fuel after a night of imbibing, the poutine is a great thing. And I'm just gonna
Because
put
of
a
the
little-
starch.
Yeah, the starch will soak it up. Put a little salt in there. And then very simple. Not low fat or low carb or anything.
No.
And we're just going to toss like this. So what you want to do, those fries are a little bit warm. We're going to let those soften the, they're going to soften the cheese curds a little bit. And I don't know how pretty this is going to be plated. We'll see. This may be not the prettiest, but delicious.
But delicious? Okay.
And now there's all sorts of different versions of this. I've seen a chef that does his poutine, an Italian poutine, and he uses mozzarella cheese, French fries, and tomato sauce. So it's kind of a...
maybe we can experiment
Yeah,
and see
you
which
can
kind we like
experiment with
better.
some. So there's our
helped.
little poutine. Now for our po' boy, we're going to fry some shrimp. So our shrimp have been peeled. We have our beer batter. I also use this for chili rellenos, and you can use it for a variety of fried dishes.
I thought it sounded familiar.
Yeah,
and it
it's
is
sort of
good for chili rellenos.
And I do zucchini in here sometimes. And then I'm going to make sure my oil is at 350. That's the perfect temperature for frying. So that's almost up there. And then, Cheryl, what I'm going to do is drop a few shrimp in the batter and then right into the oil. Then for our dressing, this is a jalapeno mayonnaise. So we have mayonnaise, lime juice, a little white onion, and some jalapenos. And we're going to slather that on these toasted buns, just hamburger buns, real hot dog buns, and then serve our shrimp on top. And these are yummy too. So let me just take a few of these shrimp.
And the important thing about having the oil at the right temperature is that the food doesn't absorb the oil.
Yeah,
It's just browning
see
it and
how that
cooking it.
really bubbled, and that's really what you want. If whatever you're frying sinks to the bottom,
It's
then
not.
you've got really greasy food. So yeah, you want a nice, quick fry, and then I even leave my thermometer in there to make sure it
Stays.
There's
That's
something
a good
called
idea.
recovery time, which really tells you that your oil has reached temperature again. Okay, let's do this while those are frying. We're going to
This is our taco.
This is our little Korean taco here. So we're going to take some of this barbecue sauce and we're going to pour this over the pork. This might have a little kick, Cheryl. I heard that you like spicy food.
I do.
So I think that'll be, so we don't need to completely annihilate the pork flavor there. And then, believe it or not, we're just going to serve this with little corn tortillas. So I'm going to warm those up a little bit, just in a little frying pan. And then we'll assemble this with our little pickle, our pork, and just fold it up like a taco.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is a fun
sounds
party.
good.
I actually do private cooking events for people, and some people say, could you do the food truck idea for us?
Wow.
So it's just, and like you said, a nice different menu to work on. Years ago, a friend of mine who worked in Hollywood went to one of Elizabeth Taylor's birthday parties, and you would think she would have had a fancy caterer.
Right.
She had a hamburger food truck in the front yard. And everybody went out, ordered their hamburger, and then came back into the beautiful mansion and had their hamburgers. So I thought she was ahead of the game.
She was.
Okay, so let me just warm these up. These are corn tortillas. We were talking about gluten-free cooking. Corn tortillas are great because they're gluten-free,
They
so
are,
you don't have to worry about.
Could you also, if you wanted to, and maybe you were having a buffet or something, have these heated in the oven?
Yeah, and
just
put them
and
out and
foil?
let people help themselves. I think that'd be fun. You could put out some different fillings and stuff. Okay, if you would take this and slather
it.
both sides with our
Okay.
jalapeno mayonnaise. We're going to pull our little shrimp out and just drain those. So you could tell the shrimp are done when they've got sort of a nice golden brown. Okay. And our oil just cooled off a little bit, so before we fry any more, we would make sure that reached the full temperature again. Okay. And then I will assemble our little tacos here, and we will have a little feast here. And we don't have to wait outside in a food truck line, right?
That's good.
So that'll save us that. Okay, so let me do this. So we're going to put that right there.
Okay.
Oh, look at how beautiful these are. These are going to be this is going to be a big.
Those are big shrimp, too.
That's a big shrimp.
So that's going to be
That will be tricky.
Po' boy.
Yeah, po' boy. It's going to be a po' boy that can get their
Wow.
mouth around that.
It's like a Dagwood sandwich
really.
almost.
Oh, look at that, would be yummy. Okay. And then just very simply for our little tacos, we will take a little bit of pork and a little bit of pickle, and that's really all there is to it. So these are so yummy.
So what else did you put in here? Is
So
this a sweet
that's
or a
there's a
savory?
little sugar and
Okay.
a little bit of salt and rice vinegar and just
Okay.
those jalapenos. You could use any chili, but
Yeah.
jalapenos are sort of easy to have on hand. And then just a few of this, you kind of leave the
And you want a
liquid
little
behind.
juice, but
Yeah,
not too
Not too
much.
much. You can leave the juice behind, and just think how pretty that would be to serve everybody a little taco and a little feast.
And like they say, we eat with our eyes, so when it's kind of unusual or
Yeah.
exciting or a little bit different than a ham sandwich.
yeah, and it's
more
sort of a
appealing.
different way to entertain your guests.
It is. Okay. Gosh, this didn't look that hard at all.
No, I
and
think
we've
this would be a
created
fun-
3 unusual dishes that would, I think, impress everybody.
I think so. We better go sit down and have lunch.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thanks for having me.
It's so nice to have you here, Deborah. I read the book that you sent me on Zentangling, Zendoodling, and I realized there's a whole new vocabulary out there for people like me that didn't know just making little drawings while they're talking on the phone.
Right.
How did you get started doing this?
I got started on accident. I was on the internet, and you know how it leads from one thing to another, and one of the images of Zentangle popped up, and I got curious, so I went to their website, zentangle.com, and there's a whole list of variety of things of becoming a certified Zentangle teacher, learning how to, resources on learning how to Zentangle, and just a vast amount of information on there.
Well, that's lucky that you found it. It sounds like. And I guess my first question would be, I like to do scrapbooking and card making, and I realized in looking when you were showing me the surfaces, there's a lot of repetition in both. So people may have some things they can start with.
Right.
I tend to use scrap paper just because I'm on the telephone. But why don't we talk about some of the things that are available?
Okay. This is watercolor paper, so if you wanted to use watercolors and paints and stuff, you can use that. This is tan cardstock, black black cardstock, white cardstock, and this is cut in the size of an ATC, an artist trading card.
Oh. And why are these 3.5 by 3.5?
These are a little bit bigger, and I have a tendency to work larger, as you can see, and so I have a tendency to cut mine a little bit bigger.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have to. You can cut them the size. And then these are the newest ones that have come out are 2 by 2, and they're called bijoux.
Bijou? Why?
Bijou. It's French for little jewel, and you can see when you do your Zentangle on there, it becomes a little jewel.
So we could cut out our own little jewels.
You
out
can
of
cut out
anything
your
we
own
wanted
little
to work
jewel.
on.
Right.
This is an example of working with a white pen
That's
on black,
correct.
so
Right.
it's the obvious.
Right.
The same thing.
Correct. And that's just a traditional Zentangle. It's on a traditional Zentangle card.
And I guess any place can be top and bottom.
Right. There is no top, no bottom, no side, no right, no left. This is these are examples of using watercolor pencils, and you're just adding a little bit of water.
I do like a little color to them.
And then this is just how to get started. This is the same as this, but as you can see, I took liberties with it and made a ZIA, which stands for Zentangled Inspired Art.
I see. No, I wouldn't have been able to see that actually.
Yeah, and then these are paint chips.
Oh, just things we might have around the house.
So when you go to the hardware store, pick up some paint chips and just...
So even though this is a slick surface with the pen that we're suggested to use, this works fine.
Right, with the Sakura Micron pen, right.
Oh, now
And
this
then
is
this
nice.
is called the Me Temps, and this is through, I think it's, I'm not going to say because I don't know for sure. But anyway, you can use different...
It's a textured paper.
Right, right.
And what'd you call it?
Me Temps, M-I-TEMPS.
Me Temps,
Right.
okay.
You
Now, this
can-
is a coffee filter, I
That's
can
a
tell.
coffee
Looks
filter.
like a
That's an
used
old
one.
coffee filter.
Oh,
Yes.
it is used, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So you can use it. And then this is a paper bag.
This
That's a paper bag.
Oh,
From
what
the
happened?
supermarket.
What'd you do to it?
So I just took a paper bag, and all I did is, paper bag, crumple it, and then just opened it up. And you, depending on how often you want to sit there and crumple and uncrumple, you can either just leave and say, okay, I'm done, I'll go with that, or you can keep going. And if you feel, it kind of feels a little bit like fabric, just the softness of it.
So do you spray water on that, or you just crumple it?
Right.
But this is very soft.
It is, because when you crumple, it breaks down the fibers.
Oh, I see.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All
so-
right. Well, that's really a pretty surface to work on, and we all have paper bags.
You all have paper bags, that's true, that's true.
And you said besides just doing freehand or using some of the designs, we can take advantage of some templates that are available.
This is a template by Julie Faye Van Balzer, and you can see here I drew it in pen, but then you can also draw it in pencil if you want, and then
it's a little lighter.
Right, it's a little lighter, and by drawing it in pencil, you can outline it in pen with whatever design that you want to do it, and then you can see here I just took liberties and decided.
Made your own design.
I made my own design.
Okay. So starting in pencils sometimes a really good idea.
Right,
Okay.
right,
But I liked what you told me. You throw the eraser away. There's no wrong way to do any of this.
Right.
I have lots of stamps because, as I said, I work with scrapbooking and card making.
So you can either work with the image. What I did is I stamped it once, and then I kept stamping. This is the first stamp, and if you notice,
without re-inking, you mean?
without re-inking, and if you notice, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter till it's so light that I
Can't
could
hardly see it.
Right, but if you look at the next one, you can I don't know if the camera can pick up teeny little images, but if you notice this and this, I took the leaves, but then I just created different images.
That's really pretty. Okay. And let's talk about using watercolor paper and how you work on that sometimes.
Okay, so watercolor paper, all I did was...
That's just a watercolor notebook that lots of
Right,
people are
watercolor,
familiar with.
right. So you just draw your image, okay? Whatever image you want, circle, heart, diamonds, whatever. And then you just add a little bit of paint. You can use watercolor. These are twinkling H2Os. They give it a little bit of
Oh, I see
a
the little
sparkle.
gold.
Right, and you just take any brush, dip it in, and just go for it. The more water you add, the lighter the color or the more paint, the darker the color. And then you can also turn and flip it, and the paints run into each other.
And then
you
start tangling.
You start tangling, yes. And so you can see I've just, by different tangle images, I went in and I kind of used the colors as the spots that I decided that I wanted to use it, like this lime green or the blue.
And you were telling me that adults, children, anyone can do this. I would think something like this would really appeal to kids.
Oh, yes, yes. And you can just give them a sheet of paper and let them have at it. Yes.
That's a great idea.
So they can do
Okay,
that.
and let's look at some other surfaces that
Okay.
you have worked on and,
Right.
and what you, this I thought was interesting,
Yes,
what you said
this
you
is
did.
a monoprint on black paper. Okay, and so what I did is I just took the images that I saw and started creating Zentangles with Zenabel and other images.
They all have names.
They
That's
all have
interesting.
names, and I cannot remember. I mean, there are hundreds of tangles. Here I saw a moon, so you can just do that and just...
And yet I might not see the same thing you would.
Right, so you could have the exact same thing and come up with a totally different design. Right, this is watercolor, and
Ooh,
what
that's
I did
beautiful.
is I took saran wrap, watercolor, pressed it, crunched it, let it dry, pulled it off, and now it made little sections for me to tangle on.
I see. So that
Yeah.
just created the background, and you'll take it from there.
Right, right, right. This is a pattern called Aquaflor, okay? And this is Aquaflor plain, this is Aquaflor shaded.
Oh,
this is done with, it's called lace, which
I
is
like
woven
that.
through it. And then I took that design and I created a flower. And so this is my Aquaflor poppy.
I can see.
Right.
Wow, that's pretty. And I like the added color. I like the color too.
And then this is Me Temps. We talked about that before.
Me Temps.
Yes. And then this, I took liberties. This is another ZIA that I took liberties with. And I have some Zentangles, traditional Zentangles in there, and some not. And then this is just done on on scrapbooking paper and just filled it in.
Now, what if you were working, and this is in pencil, I can see that, and you get through, and this little line you decided to never work with. You said we don't use erasers. Do we just leave it on there? Say if
You
I didn't want to ever fill in down here.
Well, this one I just left the way it is. But if you're creating a ZIA, Zentangled Inspired Art, then, okay, you can't erase it because now it's more art.
Oh, okay. And the gel pens are what you used on it, but I wanted you to show us quickly about cutting, and I think that's really interesting.
Okay, that is, this is Sheryl, and this, which stands,
Schnetna.
yes.
Schnetna.
This is called German paper cutting. And what you do, this is how I create it, and I'll quickly show you. I draw my image, and let's say I just do that, okay? And then what I would do, you can use scissors or an X-Acto knife. I prefer to use an X-Acto knife, and I cut along the line, and I'm not going to cut all the way through.
Now, are you cutting on the white line or
No, I'm
inside?
cutting in the white line.
I see. Okay.
And then I just...
So every one of these black lines is cut out?
Yes, yes.
Or the white's, no,
The
the black.
white is what's been cut out.
The white's been cut out.
Correct. And the black is the paper. And if I
My
this
gosh,
would-
how long did this take to do?
It took me about 2 weeks,
I can believe it.
and I'm
Oh,
just
I've
going
got
to
it
do this
turned.
quickly, but you can see I didn't do a very good job. But that's what I would do. And then I would cut along the outside. The only thing you have to remember is that each line has to connect, otherwise everything will fall apart if you cut it out.
Well, that's true. Well, this is truly beautiful, and it feels like kind of like velvet, because when I first saw it, I didn't even think to touch it, and then when you told me and I rubbed it, I could tell that it had a texture to it.
Right, right.
Well, this is really, you're just very, very talented.
Well,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much for showing us how to do this.
Oh, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to prepare some delicious and nutritious recipes with figs, and we'll share some tips for seniors in order to protect their vision. One of my next guests on the show is a chef and the culinary consultant to the California Fig Advisory Board. He's going to talk about compelling flavors, visuals, and nutrition, as well as show how to incorporate the satiety factor of a meal. Figs will be the center stage as he prepares vegan and gluten-free recipes so anyone can enjoy these tasty treats. According to the American Federation for the Blind, there are increasingly more people who are experiencing eye problems. Another guest on the next show says this is especially true for those over the age of 65. He'll discuss some tips to help seniors protect their vision, and this is actually good information for people of any age. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer a special booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. We are celebrating our 40th year on PBS. This booklet is titled the 40th Anniversary Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this commemorative booklet, go to our website at kenw.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We would like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter too. Go to kenw.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. That's all there is to it. We would also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. We look forward to hearing from you.